What's up, everybody? Jackson Fuller, high school sports reporter for the Star News here, and the long off season of high school sports, not too long, only about 2 months or so, but it's finally over, and this is the StarNewsVarsity weekly rundown. Just a quick video that I kind of started last year towards the middle of spring sports, where every Sunday I'm just going to kind of sit out here at my back porch at home and run you through the happenings of the past week of high school sports, some notable things that happened in the past 6 to 7 days, and then what we've got to look forward to coming down the road in the next week of local high school sports. Of course, this was the first week the public schools could get into action and play games, so not a whole lot of no huge games of note really. No conference games were played, but I would like to shout out a few teams and a couple individuals, and let's start with Libby Tran of Ashley High School. She won the first MEC girls golf match of the season, carding a 39 at Carolina National over 9 holes. Great start for the senior. I know she's expecting a big year this year with a relatively young conference around her now that Jayla Rogers has graduated. Laney's still the favorite with girls like Grace Holcomb and Reagan Creasy, but Libby Tran, the first individual winner in the Mid-Eastern Conference this season. And then over in cross country, the Hugh McRae kickoff happened on Thursday, which is always a fun event to, I think, like over 300 runners kind of get to Hugh McRae Park and get this cross country season rolling. On the guys' side, it was Ashley's Luke Scacheri who won, which is not really a surprise. He finished second in the MEC last year, and the first place finisher left to graduation, so he kind of came into the season as a guy that I think a lot of people thought could be the best boys runner in the area this year, and he's off to a great start. On the girls' side, it was freshman Caitlin Obremski from Topsail, the younger sister of Michaela Obremski. And Caitlin won the girls' competition, and she's a lot of high expectations for her this year as a freshman at Topsail. But a really crazy note is the top 4 finishers on the girls' side were all freshmen. So some new faces I'm going to have to pay attention to on the cross-country side this year. And we'll see how Caitlin kind of does with a good start to her cross-country career. A couple teams that had really good weeks. Topsail volleyball 4-0. They always start off the season really hot, it feels like, and no difference this year. Coastal Christian boys soccer, I think they're 5-0-1. They went down to Raleigh this weekend and got a win and a draw against 2 talented teams. The Centurions have a lot of high expectations this year. I know Mike Scheffel was talking about how they want to compete for a state championship this year. That's the goal every year for them. But last year, they didn't necessarily feel like they had that the type of team that could seriously compete for a state championship. This year they feel that way, and they're off to a great start, 5-0-1. And I know they want to catch their rivals from Cape Fear Academy, who were able to win a state championship last year. And of course, there was football, Friday night football. I made the trip north to Morehead City to cover the New Hanover-West Carteret game, and New Hanover looked pretty good in Dylan Dimmick's first game as the head coach. The offensive line wasn't perfect, and there were some penalties, but otherwise a great performance, 49-7 win over West Carteret. So that is a really encouraging start. Chase Nixon looked good when he had time to throw, finding Jaheim Marshall, and I wouldn't be surprised if Marshall gets 1,000 yards this year. And then the 3 running backs, which is the story I wrote that came out in Sunday's newspaper, and they all were impressive. Makai Stanley, Jabez Howard, and Raz Chandler. So it'll be interesting to see how Coach Dimmick kind of manages those guys' touches throughout the year, but he's got no shortage of weapons with New Hanover this season. Topsail Trask. Topsail got the win 35-8 over Trask, their 3rd straight win over the Titans to open up the year. But really the most notable thing from that game was Noah LaValle went out with an ankle injury on the first play of the game. The senior running back, he's rushed for over 1,000 yards in all 3 years on varsity. He's the Pirates' best player, and they're going to really miss him if he's out for any extended time. The sense that I get is he won't miss too much time. I'd be surprised if he plays next week. I think Topsail's going to want to play it safe with him and make sure he is perfectly healthy for the start of the Mid-Eastern Conference season, because they have some high goals after a 9-3 season last year. And then Whiteville beat North Brunswick. This, I think, 33-7 might be the final score. Don't quote me on that. It's slipping through my mind right now, but it was a close game at halftime, 13-7 in favor of Whiteville. And then the Wolfpack kind of ran away in the second half. So You talk about other teams in the area. Ashley and Laney both got shut out, but Laney, the defense, that's a good performance, only giving up 14 points to Northside Jacksonville. So I think, they missed Sherrod Sidbury and Matt Sims, who were 2 seniors on offense last year, but it seems like the Laney defense is going to be pretty good. I know that's a talented Northside Jacksonville team with a couple guys going Division I. Ashley was shut out by South Columbus, I think 34-0 maybe, and that's a tough first game for Coach Wilson Helms. Down, the Stallions have an excellent program, so that's always going to be a challenge. And Hoggard was off, and that's one of the big things I'm looking forward to next week. Is I'm not going to be able to go cover that game, but we're going to have someone from the Fayetteville Observer cover it for us. Hoggard going to face Scotland County week 2 of the regular season, the first game for Hoggard. A huge test right away from the Vikings. The Scots are one of the best teams in the state. They've had one of the best programs in the state over the past 20 years, so it'll be a really, really big challenge for Hoggard, and I'm excited to see how they do in that kind of environment. Other games of note next week: Whiteville, West Brunswick in football. I mean, both teams 1-0. Both teams have huge expectations this season. Last year was a great game with Whiteville pulling it out at the end. That's where I'll be on Friday night, making the trip down to Whiteville to see that game, and I'm excited to see Ty Moss in action and Javion for Whiteville and Javion McCrae for West Brunswick. Outside of football, one thing I'm excited to start seeing this week is the private schools playing the public schools in soccer. Cape Fear Academy plays Ashley on Monday, and then they play Hoggard on Thursday, I believe. New Hanover is going to play Coastal Christian on Tuesday. So, those private schools, they usually play 1 or 2 of the public schools. This year, the Cape Fear and Coastal Christian are playing every single New Hanover public school. So that should be fun. A little, inner city rivalry going on, who I think, and, Cape Fear and Coastal Christian, I think have a chance to beat the public schools. I don't think they're gonna lose all 4 of those games. I definitely don't think that. So we'll see how that goes for those teams next week. It should be exciting and interesting to see who kind of can assert themselves as the dominant soccer program this year, because it's wide open right now. I think all of our soccer teams kind of struggled this weekend in Raleigh, other than Coastal Christian. So I'm excited to see who kind of takes that next step this year. As always, Twitter at StarNewsVarsity, Facebook.com/StarNewsVarsity. You're here on our YouTube channel. If you're not clicking on it through the article, we appreciate that. Videos all year, and this every week, the StarNewsVarsity Weekly Rundown. Looking forward to kind of talking to you guys. I hope I get to wear this Chelsea jersey all the time after a Chelsea win. I can't wear my Miami jersey after that loss last night, but it's okay. It's a beautiful Sunday, and looking forward to covering high school sports this season, year 2 for me. So everybody follow along, and I appreciate y'all watching.